do. Pilots. No, okay, it's good.
Okay, it's good. For some reason, you seem down on power, but you're able to compensate for that, and you land successfully.
Hey,
What if you'd rolled 100?
we would have all died.
He'd have had to have tried to make an emergency landing, which would have required another pilot roll. I wouldn't have killed you just with one pilot roll.
What if you rolled 100 again?
Then we'd have started getting into the territory of
Pleb.
don't fail again, and then everybody would have died.
In other words, don't pull a Jeffrey.
I would not have done a free. It would have taken him 3 consecutive fails, and only if he'd have really botched the first one.
Don't pull a Jeffrey.
But yeah, something's slightly wrong with the plane. You get that much, but it's not enough to cause any problems for this flight. But it might be an issue coming back.
Damn.
It was down on power, which either means you're carrying a lot more weight, which you clearly aren't, or something is wrong with the engines.
Engine.
Or something is
engine,
possessing
In
it.
this case. Unless you're carrying, say, an extra 500 pounds you weren't expecting.
Oh, whoops.
I'll look at Howard for that.
Unless that amulet is interfering with electricity.
How would that
That's
affect
grasping
the
at straws.
engine particularly much?
Cthulhu players and their theories. But some of them
The
are
only
right.
Well, it
thing that
seems
can
like
make
to
sense
me.
This is
is
the
that
scary
the
bit.
amulet-
Some of these theories are right.
The only thing I can see is that the amulet is somehow slowing down the aircraft.
Alright, I was joking. Just carry on.
Alright. Either way, there's something borked with the engine.
Can
able
we
to
look
safely
it
land it,
over while
though.
we go see Armitage? Are you any good at this? Alright,
I have
Jim's
no clue
the
how the fucking
mechanic.
engine works. Are you kidding me? I just fly the
Jim's-
plane.
Jim's the mechanic here.
Jim's the mechanic. Yeah, I'm the one that's supposed to be. That was the original reason for me knowing Lazarus.
Yes, it is.
So, you want me to make a mechanical repair roll?
Yeah, this will identify if there's anything directly wrong with the engine.
59 against 80 success.
Yep. Yeah, you identify a few faults. It looks as if somebody has taken a beating to it, to be fair. Or it's got damaged at some point in the past and nobody's noticed.
Nobody noticed the engine had been kicked the shit out of.
Yeah, well, it's not something you particularly look at when you're getting on, I suppose.
You
But-
don't particularly look at the engine when getting on a plane. Yes, that seems logical.
Of course
I've
you
also hired him to look at it so that it
don't. Yeah,
doesn't.
sure, but he wouldn't have done before you went on. You just got on. Either way, there's some minor damage to it. It's easy enough to repair if given some time.
That
Right.
guy who escaped sabotaged it? Maybe? Or the guys who rescued him sabotaged it?
Or because he hasn't flown the plane since... Actually, no, he has flown the plane since then, so ignore that. That's alright, no worries. I was thinking actually the firefight outside that particular area, but that was 8 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
he has stated he's flown
That
since
and
then.
the plane wasn't even there when that firefight was going on. So
Indeed, he had to land it. So ignore all of that. Carry on.
Oh, I remember that now, that was awesome. Alright.
So you're back in Arkham.
all right.
Okay, well, Miskatonic University time.
Yep.
Okay, it's about 2 p.m. as you arrive into the Miskatonic University. Giant library of awesomeness.
Indeed.
With a door that has been repaired.
Well, possibly, unless you're going up to his office straight away.
We may want to. Or I guess we talk to the librarian at the front, see if we can talk to Armitage.
Hi, is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah, is Professor Armitage in?
I'm afraid he's in meetings. Do you need an appointment?
He would
Actually, it's incredibly urgent.
Well, if it's incredibly urgent, he'll be out of lectures at about 7 p.m. tonight. I'll see if I can get a message to him.
What lecture room's he in?
Hmm?
Where is he located currently?
He's going to be busy for the next 5 hours, I'm afraid.
Yeah, what lecture room?
Can I ask what this is concerning?
I'm afraid it's personal business to Dr. Armitage. And
I'm afraid your personal business will
he-
have
he-
to wait.
I'm afraid
He did ask us.
He refuses.
He told us that if anything urgent like this came up, to come get him, and he would make time.
And you well when he's out of lectures. He hates to be interrupted during lectures.
I'm afraid he will take an exception to this time.
Chigla, make a persuade roll.
Which one of us?
You, I guess.
Both of you, I guess.
Okay.
I should. Okay, I'll make one.
Who you have a better persuasion than?
I passed.
What did you get?
24 out of 30.
Okay. I will pass the message along that you need to speak to him urgently. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I guess we better tell her our names.
What was the last thing we were here for?
What,
Well, either way,
when
she doesn't recognize you, but
Yeah,
doesn't apparently recognize you.
so that he knows what it's about, who it is.
Okay, so she takes down the names, and I guess one of the other secretaries should just run that off to Armitage.
Okay, in the meantime, maybe we should try and decipher this.
Well, I'm going to decipher it. Is there anything else we can do? We've got a massive library. Is there anything else we need to work out? We fill around these artifacts.
I guess I'll do an astronomy one.
So you're gonna randomly look up astronomy books, right? Do you have any vague inkling of what you're looking for?
No.
Something about the moon.
I'll tell you what. You find an astronomy book that doesn't cover the moon in a library. I'll give you a penny. They probably exist, but you know what I mean. It's sort of.
It's a bit ridiculous.
It is a little ridiculous.
I know.
But okay, you are searching for books about the moon.
I was thinking more
I'm
about something
searching
possibly to do with the
for-
artifact itself rather than the directions. That's what I was saying, do with the artifact.
Okay.
Perhaps someone should try wearing the artifact and see what happens to him.
Okay. I'll wear it.
Okay.
Okay, you're now
Jeez.
wearing a golden coin amulet.
Do I look spiffy?
Let me roll the
You
dice.
look like a pimp.
Oh God! What did you make me do?
I've rolled nat 100. You do not look spiffy at all.
Ah,
I've written a nat 100.
In fact, you look like a colossal bellend if you rolled a nat 100.
I'm gonna tuck it under my shirt. Wow, it looks so fucking stupid.
Alright, I'd suggest looking that up.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna look at is I'm gonna try and look at stuff about the dates,
In relation to...
the moon.
Okay, moon and the date. I might be able to give you something with that. Make a library use roll.
Yeah, I actually have a pretty good library, which is 35. Okay, so let's see. Gotta roll under 50. I rolled a 72.
Okay. I'll get back to you on that one.
We need library use for me to decipher this thing.
I'll give you library use to just base... I mean, it's only going to affect the speed, really, so...
Okay. Roll 17 out of 85.
Have a check, and you'll decipher that in a couple of hours. Fully. What are the other three of you going to do? And if Lazarus, your answer is to go into the secret areas again...
No, it's not.
Do it.
Well,
Do
let's
it.
also look up the Aztec artifacts.
Maybe I
If
should
you
look
have
up a
other
book
ideas
on,
of stuff to look up for.
Maybe I should look up a book on radial engine repair.
Why would you do that when you have me?
And he's already identified what the problem is, so he can
And
fix it
already
easily.
fixed it, haven't you?
No, he hasn't fixed
Oh.
it, but he knows how to. It's easy enough.
Yeah, right.
It won't take
Sure.
longer than an hour to just...
Dylan. What was it? Look up which
Oh,
The
one?
Aztec
I'm-
artifact.
I'm going to assume that I'm just actually trying to fix the engine while they're pissing about.
Yep,
to
no
be
worries.
honest.
You fix it easily and arrive back in the library before they're done, so...
Okay.
All right, Aztec artifacts.
Okay. So, Dylan, you have a random... Okay, let me just go with this. You actually have deciphered the message.
Right.
The message reads, the addresses listed are the last remaining chances. We can only hope some of the creature has survived. You must find some for us to cultivate and recover our losses from Gamwell. Exercise caution. Salt will slow and contain the sacrifice. I doubt it is reformed, but we can take no chances at this point. We will assemble the ley line at the time and begin work on the ritual while we wait for your success. Do not fail. W.
Do you have a copy paste of that you can put in the chat?
Yeah, I kind of ad-libbed some of that, but I don't know.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Because I've been rewriting this little bit for ages, trying not to give too much away, and I had to decide how much I was giving away with this. So that's the full bit, which has come out oddly for some reason.
I have filled this entire page with doodles.
Hooray! Clearly you have the art of Cthulhu down.
Epic success!
I'm back.
Okay, we're at the library.
The Boston Library?
The Arkham Library. So you're the Miskatonic again.
I'm Miskatonic.
You're at the Miskatonic University.
Oh, okay. Is that in France?
No, we haven't flown to France.
Where did we fly?
We flew to see
Like-
Henry Armitage.
Half an hour north to Arkham.
Oh, okay, so we're in, like, Vermont.
No, it's still in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Was Debbie there for that session? I don't know if you were.
I don't.
Debbie
Arkham
wasn't there
isn't
for the
familiar.
Debbie wasn't here for Arkham.
Okay.
No, she.
No, this is. We're basically revisiting one of our earlier sessions again. That me, Connor, and Snoopy were there for.
Sing in the
we
attic.
basically the
This
the
was
most
a-
important thing here is that the professor who works at this university called Armitage told us to look him up if we ever have problems with anything, and he knows about all the weird stuff, and he helped us out.
Correction, he knows some of the weird stuff. He certainly
Well,
knows what's
sorry, yeah, he
dangerous.
knows some
He
of the weird
knows
stuff.
more than us about the weird stuff, and that's important.
And he's not an enemy?
No,
He
definitely
helped us out
not.
last time.
Oh, yay!
So we're coming here to try and
Covered
get
your
leads.
tracks of murder when it started there.
Yay! Okay.
Hey, we didn't murder anyone that time.
Okay, Snoopy.
Actually, no, we didn't. Yeah.
You can't find anything significant about October the 16th that has to do with the moon, except for a lunar calendar which suggests new moons or full moons on various years.
Oh, by the way, that message in the chat is the secret message that the cultist had on him, which you just decoded.
And
Oh.
so I can find
We'll
out
give
if
it a
it's
read.
new moon. And find out what kind of moon it is.
Yep, bear with.
How about you?
Like a wibbly moon.
A wibbly moon?
Not the wibbly moon!
Or it's a blood moon, lunar eclipse.
A wibbly moon.
The
In
sacrifice.
fact, I'll give that to you, actually. Yeah, it will be a lunar eclipse on the 16th of October for the east of America.
Which is where we
It
are.
won't be total, though. But,
Well, I was
but it will be
thinking
there.
that it suggests it's a half moon.
It doesn't necessarily even need to be half. It just won't be.
It's going to be a
complete
partial lunar eclipse at that on the 16th through this part of America.
So the moon will
I'll
be
give you
like
an idea.
half
I have an
red
idea
with a bit
roll
of
at this
white.
point.
All right.
For all of us.
Actually, no, ignore that. Scrub that. You haven't made that
Okay.
connection yet, so ignore that. But there might be an idea roll involved in with this. But for the moment, yeah, you know there will be a partial lunar eclipse through most of America on the 16th.
So that would be a date, which would probably coincide with the time.
Do we decide what time it was?
Probably at 10 o'clock at night, as opposed to 10 in the morning.
If it's a lunar
No.
eclipse, then yeah.
Yeah. Which would explain why it's only partial happening at 10. On that side of America. Well, we figured out the moon thing.
Yep, well done. One down. Load to
Is
go.
the W that signed that note Alan Wake / Sheriff Whitford?
We would have to work it out, but
just says
could
W
possibly
at the end.
It could possibly be Wake.
Yeah.
Didn't
But
the
yeah,
sheriff dude
we-
get eaten?
It was also Sheriff Whitford.
Who was Whitford?
They're the same person, according to my notes.
Oh yeah, didn't he go by two names?
Yeah. They're the only significant W name I have in my notes that I can see.
It could be someone completely different.
Right.
though.
Yeah,
The
it could-
Aztec
Yeah,
artifact
but-
search through the library has revealed nothing significant. You found a couple of things which look similar, but nothing significant about them that you can glean from anything.
Oh, there is also
It
Theopolis
only
Wen.
be in one place in the library.
There is Theopolis Wen also. The guy who wrote True Magic.
Yeah, but I already
Yes,
have
but given
that
you
book.
know that book was written hundreds of years ago, you can probably disclude that one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think it's probably Whitford / Wake, because there's links between him and Varelli. The news report about him was done by Jay Varelli. So there's reason to take out Varelli.
The problem is that we have no idea how to find Wake at this point, and Varelli's dead, so we can't use him to get to Wake.
Well, according to this, he'll be at the place at the ley line.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we would hope.
So we can at least run into him on the 16th, apparently.
Well, I imagine something pretty finale-ness is going to happen. If we even let it go that long.
What's
I
your
kinda
Cthulhu
wanna-
Mythos skill, Dylan?
7%?
Okay, I'll let you get away with that turn then.
What? Prolific.
Prolific.
Prophylactics?
And if something is going down, if it's possible, I'd rather stop it before the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, it's now about
Sorry.
5 p.m. and the librarian signals you over.
I'm gonna consult Professor.
Professor Armitage will see you in his study shortly. He's just finishing up.
Yeah, well, I got the notes deciphered.
She
so-
basically directs you to his office. And by the way, the door works this time.
Well,
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, I see the door works.
You now basically are put down into his office. There are stacks of books along both walls. Other than that, it's actually a bit of a mess in many ways. This room, but you can tell it's the head of a library who lives here. An elderly man in his 80s walks in. With a mustache and beard, and he immediately recognises you. It has been
Alrighty.
some time. How are we doing?
Fantastic.
Clearly.
So, ripping with sarcasm.
Two of you I don't know. You are?
Debbie Bunyan.
And
Yeah,
Tessa?
she did not accompany us to Arkham the last time we met.
Clearly
but
not.
she'd helped us out before that point when handling such matters, as has Jim.
Well, let's not waste any time, shall we? What have you gotten yourself into this time? I believe I warned you about delving too deeply into these sorts of affairs.
Well, the
You
affairs
finding
came
us.
after us.
No? How so?
A cult using a symbol of a. Is it? Do we ever work out? Is it like a silver scale or a fish scale or something?
Silver
You know
scale.
it's a silver scale that the tablet
Yeah.
was called, and that's the sign above it.
Yeah. With the icon of a silver scale broke into our houses individually, and
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that cultist movement.
They also have plants.
Plants.
That suck blood.
You
Little
going
shop
to
of
describe
horrors.
these things to him?
Sorry?
Are you describing these things to him?
Yeah.
In detail?
Yes.
Okay, I've now just going to make a
No,
sense.
you're going to send in Wibbly.
No, trust me, this guy won't go wibbly.
He can. Yeah. He looks a bit shaken by what he's heard, but from a description, he's not going to falter from that.
We've just
he did fail his
things
check,
already.
it turns out, but it doesn't matter.
Our best lead at the moment are two pieces of information we found. One was left to us by a member possibly involved with the cult in the form of a diary, and we've also found this coded message, which I've decoded here.
He takes both of them off you. He reads through the note quickly.
But it's easy enough to recognize this originated from an incident in Gamwell, where some plant-like creature had infested the town.
He puts that to one side for the moment. Would you hand me one of those scrolls at the back there, number 7, if you would? He points behind one of the bookcases.
I hand him 7.
He unfolds what appears to be a old map of the East Coast. He puts the three paperweights on there and just begins looking on them. You can tell this thing is ridiculously old. In fact, it looks older than the US should be. Really, it looks older than 400 years. But it's got very detailed lines and graphs and various other things, which you're just staring at now. Not enough to go on at the moment, but still.
Do we notice any numbers on it?
It's not marked up in any particular way that you can tell. There are the lines do appear odd. They're definitely not rivers. They're just straight or partially curving lines, which seem to intersect and split off at various points, almost rhythmically.
Can also show him both what we're able to get from the diary.
He's now he's now taking the diary.
And yeah, I've written out what we could make out.
I
from
take it none of you are French scholars.
Unfortunately not.
No.
He begins reading the diary, not skimming, just absolutely reading it. This, by the way, will take 3.5 hours.
To skim it?
Yeah.
And
We
he's
should-
reading
yeah.
No, he's reading it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't read it out loud, he's just reading it.
I guess
I'm gonna examine the map while he's going on.
He gestures you to take a seat.
Yeah, I'm gonna look around.
It's very
I'm
much an
gonna
Armitage
examine-
profile that nobody interrupts him when he's in this sort of...
Yeah.
He's in this mode. No one
Yeah,
interrupts.
this happened before.
Yes, this
It did,
has.
actually.
Is it okay if I go get a book?
hours.
Can I go get a book from the library on, like, moon cycles?
He's locked the door because he knows what type of meeting this is going to be, but you work that out when you get to there.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, we
I'm
all
gonna sit
tried-
and wait.
He's very secretive about things of the mythos.
For good
As he
reason.
should be.
Exactly. He owns a private... Not that you know this, but there's the entrance to the forbidden section of the library next door.
Yeah.
Only one person has the key, and nobody gets that key off of him.
Yet.
Until someone wants to try.
Have a gun.
3.5 hours later, he flicks it closed.
Don't threaten our one friend with knowledge.
He puts the book down. I will give you a brief summary of what they have been up to, but it does not bode well.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think so.
It never does.
There are some confusing irregularities in the diary, which I will explain when I get to the various points. The diary begins late November of last year and talks about rituals performed at an Aztec temple somewhere in South America, and apparently how he was able to smuggle a piece of the Great Devourer into the luggage of a Mr. Cornthwaite. The confusing part here is, according to the diary, the The very next day, he was preparing Cornthwaite's home for the arrival of the Devourer, which suggests he was somehow able to get from the deepest jungles in South America to that mansion almost instantaneously, or at least far quicker than I would imagine it to be possible easily.
Airplane.
Either he has a great deal of money or a great deal of support to be able to move that quickly.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he speaks about various rituals which he performed at the request of him and his leader to allow for the creature's rapid expansion. What he suggests the creature he brought back is, as I said, is a piece of a devourer. They planned to grow it enough that it could be used to sacrifice the being within the temple itself, sacrificing an entire god to summon forth another god. That is at least what I've been able to glean. However, apparently they underestimated how strong the thing would become. After 3 weeks, they had already realized that they could not contain the creature, but that it was not yet correct time for them to perform the ritual. They instead began efforts to slow it down, but obviously these failed, and eventually ended with... well... it ended with Varelli himself being attacked by the beast on a routine check. Apparently, some people were investigating the place at the time.
No.
And he had to ensure that nothing interfered with the restrictions they put in place. Salt, apparently, is something you want a lot of if you're dealing with this thing.
Yeah. Vinegar's also very good.
However,
against
the beast broke free of even the boundaries they had in place, partially, according to the diary, by his own efforts. By releasing the beast, he was able to keep himself alive and escape. The creature was then destroyed. He doesn't go into detail about how this was managed, but I imagine that some government agency was involved in the disposal of the area, especially as I have seen news reports of Gamwell effectively suffering a gas leak capable of wiping out the town. I imagine it was completely purged, the buildings ruined, and everybody who has even an inkling at what was going on was relocated elsewhere. However, the plan continued. They already knew how to cultivate the growth of the creature from any sample that remained, and they knew of 3 people who may have still have samples of it.
Damn it, Dylan's!
They exhausted all the possible options, and eventually they found enough of a sample in a house in a town close to Gamwell by some unlucky person who was looking for wild mushrooms or something.
I would come across this house.
Yeah.
They began the regrowth procedure, but at a much accelerated rate. They didn't have the time, you see. The final entry was dated about 9 weeks ago, saying he may have found a way to stop it, though he doubts he has enough time. The connection to the Devourer must be severed, so that the biomass cannot be effectively used as a sacrifice. Apparently, though, as he was writing this particular entry, he was attacked. I believe he is dead. Interestingly, the last thing he writes is a series of words, probably relating to things. Since ley lines were mentioned in the previous note you showed me, he gestures to the map. This will possibly be of some use. This shows where all the ley lines are that cross this part of the United States. That we know of, that at least work. it will probably need to be a focal point, and unless my geography is completely misleading, he points to a particular point on the map. This is Gamwell, or roughly where Gamwell will be in the future, given this map's age.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere within that vicinity is the focal point. They will be around there, but it could easily be anywhere else along there. He points to a few other places quite a long way away in various directions. Nevertheless, given the attachments to Gamwell in the past and the fact that they can't really move the creature very far, I would say that is probably the best bet for where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It does not show any way of severing the connection to the Devourer in the temple, but needless to say, a sealed god is a threat, but not a severe one. A god unbound by the sacrifice of another god, I couldn't even contemplate. This is extremely dangerous. Unfortunately, he does not give any clues about which god he was trying to summon either, so I can give no advice on how to stop it or prevent it from arriving. And according to the time frame, you do not have long.
Yes.
I unfortunately don't see where the moon comes into this, or the amulet, but I would try to find out where those are and what the connection might be. According to this, I would say you have 2 days.
The connection that we've established to the moon is that there's a partial lunar eclipse that night.
There is.
But that's all we've established.
Whether the trigger or not, a partial eclipse is not usual, I'll concede. The only thing that might be of some relevance is that it will eventually pass over both here and also through various parts of South America on that same day. Or same night, at least. Perhaps the ritual time is when it crosses one and eventually crosses the other. But that is a guess, and guesses are of no use to you now. You must find out as much as you can from Varelli or this cult.
Well, Varelli's dead, so...
Starting to be unhinged at the thought of summoning a god.
Indeed, they are clearly out of their minds. If you have any clue as to where any of them might be, I would try and hunt down any remember you can.
Don't
bring it up.
Oh.
I wish you the best of luck. But unless you have anything more for me to go on, I can provide no further help.
Well, I do have some suggestions.
He quickly writes a note, which basically has the description of where the leyline focal point is on a normal map. He actually brings out a more modern map to just counterpoint this on for you.
I'm just going to ask him if he knows anything about what this Devourer is.
I'm afraid that has not come up in anything I would know about. There are a great many gods that would certainly devour this world quite easily. But the Great Devourer is something that escapes me for the moment. If I find anything, do you have some way I can contact you?
We have phones installed in our houses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll give him the numbers then. Well,
I will see if I can find what I can, but I cannot be too hopeful for you at this point. I have a lot of possible research topics in the restricted section, but unfortunately, searching through that will take longer than 2 days, unless I am extremely lucky. I'm afraid I can't really help you identify the Devourer, and even if I can, that might not help you sever the connection.
Well, I do have a somewhat suicidal idea of maybe we can make me some sort of bait to lure in one of these cultists, and if everybody's keeping guard, we can possibly nab him.
We're being so close to the ritual.
Possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could kill the creature before the ritual was complete, that may prevent the ritual from taking place.
Mm-hmm.
But equally, that might also trigger it.
Or potentially just kill the people who know how to perform this ritual. And then after that time passes,
too much
we
is
kill the
unknown,
creature.
and unknown is always dangerous.
Yeah.
Take care, observe, and may God have mercy on us all. You don't have time to dawdle. You should get going.
Righto.
We're gonna.
I will
Thank
keep
you
the
for the help.
library open longer. I will make arrangements for that if you so wish, but you do not have a lot of time to dawdle. He picks up he unlocks a safe and then picks out a key from that safe. He unlocks the other door with the other key and gestures you to go out.
Yeah, thank him for his help.
Yeah, I go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
You see him lock the office door and then open and lock from the other side the restricted section door and walks off. So,
Indeed.
I got that written down, so I have that all written down.
Back to our makeshift airfield.
oh, are you going to? He has made arrangements to leave the library open for another 4 hours if you did want to find anything else out. But
I don't think we have anything else to really look up.
And I don't think we have
Because
the
we
time
tried
to do
looking
it.
for stuff like the cult before, and we never found anything on them.
It's possible. You did say that the thing had Aztec writing on it.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there's something that is like able to translate Aztec writing? Some sort of reference on that? Yeah.
it might be possible.
Okay.
We'll have to put on rubbing of it, which is pretty easy to do, I suppose.
Yeah, it's easy enough. It's on a coin.
Well, Jim recognizes Aztec writing, right?
I recognize the Aztec writing, yeah.
You recognise it as probably Aztec, yeah.
But that's it. You don't recognize what it might say or refer
No,
to.
he said you don't know what it means.
Okay.
Quite why I recognized it as Aztec, I don't know, but just random rolls.
Random bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going back to Gamwell soon.
Not exactly sure what to look at, to be honest.
I mean, I suppose we haven't got any other leads on where the cult could be hiding, unless did he? The other message we found was just about what time it was going to be, wasn't it? On the back of the book.
The back of the book had the name of the bar.
Yeah.
It does actually have. Sorry, I missed this, but it's not particularly relevant. It has the name of the book Marishan picked up last session, and the date.
Yeah. Okay.
The book I
Marishan, make an idea.
True
roll.
Magic.
Idea roll, you say?
Yeah.
My idea is 45. Okay.
Okay.
12. Okay. Yeah. no,
Having skimmed through the book and having read about a third of it, the only thing that might be relevant is either they wanted to contact somebody first, or they wanted to use the spell, the door and the key, I think I called it.
The door in the key. Or the door in the key. I wrote down,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But those are the only two bits of relevance you found at all. That would.
Oh no, key in the gates is what I wrote
Key in the
down.
gate, yeah, that's the one. Sorry, I forgot how I named it. But they might have wanted it for one of those two reasons. If it was a note of trying to find these things, particularly. But equally, it could just be something to pick up at some point. You know, he had this when he was trying to murder Varelli, so...
Fair enough.
Well, guys,
Well, I'm just trying to think about possible places we could even find the cult if we need to get a hold of them. And we got the idea of bait, which we could try. The only meetup place we know is the bar. We could perhaps
We burnt it down, bro.
investigate the burnt down ruins. Or Gamwell, where they'll probably be gathering if that's where the ritual's going to be performed. There might be some hiding out there.
This has always been unpopular with us, but we could split up.
dun dun dun!
Oh god. Yeah, but split up to do what? Just investigate all the random things?
Some people go to the burned down absolute ruin of a bar. And the rest of us go to Gamwell.
That burnt down ruin of the bar won't take long to check, and I don't want to split the group to go to Gamwell.
Well, do you
Yeah,
have any evidence that we actually succeeded at burning it down all the way, or did anyone put out that fire?
I don't know, we just ran. We wouldn't know till we get back there, I guess.
Yeah, would it be in
As
the
I
news
mentioned it, yeah.
or anything that the bar burnt down or not?
People in the
I'm
hospital
assuming.
would have watched the news.
Well, you haven't had a chance to really pick up a newspaper or anything at this stage. I mean, you could
They
have
don't
done,
really
but
have news stations on TV in the 20s. It would be
there are papers.
In the 20s.
It would
Yeah,
be
TV didn't really exist. Yeah, it was kind of a. It was being invented
They
right
had
about then.
cinemas to show the news at times, but that would be it.
Yeah.
that's like world events, but so did the bar actually burn down all the way?
You have no clue. Nobody picked up the newspaper this morning, and you were in
Everyone
jail
too
anyway.
rushed.
Well, is there a
No,
newspaper
temporarily.
here?
There was a 4-week-old newspaper in jail, but that's all you got.
Is there a newspaper around us now?
In a library, mostly local ones.
Yeah, it's not gonna... Because we're about, like, a couple hours away if you're going by non-plane distance.
Local or student ones are all you're going to find here. At least for today.
By normal
You
blade
could
distance,
find
though, if you
archives
guys
of
are away by
older ones,
driving.
but for things that happen today, you won't have them yet.
Okay.
We're gonna have to...
Well, we're gonna have to go back south to get to Gamwell, so we're gonna go through home pretty much.
Ganwell's like a 4-hour trip by car, so I suggest we keep
No, it's
using the
only a
plane.
2.5-hour trip, but...
Oh, what's the 4-hour trip?
But you had to go by bus last time.
Right, that was it.
And there was only one bus, so...
Yeah.
Well, if Gamwell is pretty much burnt to the ground, it's probably a decent landing strip now.
We don't know that. Plus, to be honest, a
if it's
plane flying in that location is going to create a lot of noise, and anyone who hears a plane is probably going to figure there's something up,
Yeah.
considering
Yeah,
we're
well,
pretty
just-
sure no one lives there anymore.
Yeah, you might as well just walk out to it shouting, "I'm here."
And who flies a plane back to their house anyway?
Only Connor.
Yes. Well, that's how we got.
Planes- we built an airstrip. You know, if you build an airstrip in your yard, you can fly to your house.
Guys, do you want to call it a session here? I know I didn't really want to split this one up, but it is now kind of running to about midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Probably have
tired.
to.
And we are
Yeah,
now
right.
at a crux point. I won't resolve any downtime or anything because we're just going to go straight into it because you
Well,
only
yeah.
have 2 days.
Yeah.
And I shall think about resetting things. By the way, how much of a tangent was that bloody bar?
Oh my god, did shit hit the fan there?
That was only supposed to be a sort of random inkling clue as to what the cult was doing, or where the cult hideout was, effectively, but
We got into a brawl.
screw that now.
It turned into an encounter that went tits up rather quickly.
By the way, those two were just normal-ish grunts who were just commenting about the new people in the bar. The third guy knew them, was a regular at the bar, friend of those two, was a member of the cult, but that was just because he wanted to speak to the bartender.
Wait, we can't remember the cult just to speak to the bartender.
So what was
The
that?
bartender was another... Well, you don't know this yet, but the bartender was involved with the cult as well, but...
Well, that's why I wanted to jump him. I
I
feel like he'll
probably
be the
have
one who
an
knew
idea
what
that
was
he's
going
a
on, but I had to run
cult.
off and keep saving people.
Yeah, in fact, you probably get an idea because he knew the thing was back there and knew to release it on you.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Still gonna have nightmares about that.
yeah.